And good evening, sports fans, and welcome to a brand new episode of Let's Whine About DMV Sports here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Tonight, we'll be taking our usual broad look across the DMV landscape. We're going to, of course, start with football, where great news for the Commanders clinching their playoff spot, and even better news for the Ravens today, clinching the division and the third seed in the AFC. We're going to talk about how we got here and what is next for both squads. Ravens are done. Commanders still have one more to take care of before everything is all locked into place. We will, of course, cover the last couple of bowl games for our DMV teams. A little bit of news out of the baseball world for the Orioles. Nothing really going on for the Nationals right now. And a couple of our weekly catch-ups for the Wizards, who get to beat the Wizards this week because they did win a game, and the Capitals, who he's back. We're going to look at how that's going for both teams, all while kicking off a new monthly theme with a very tasty sweet option. We've got all that and more coming up on Let's Whine About DMV Sports on the IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. And once again, good evening, everybody, and thank you for tuning in to Let's Whine About DMV Sports here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports, and who, for the past 10 and a half years and counting, has been bringing you amazing sports content ranging from interviewing legendary athletes to building tailor-made shows dedicated to all major sports cities around the country. If you have not done so already, please follow us on all social media platforms: X, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and YouTube at IE Sports Radio. You can also follow yours truly on X, Instagram, and TikTok at Let's Whine _ISR. You can listen to us on a whole bunch of different platforms. You've got Apple Podcasts, Spreaker, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Google Podcast, and so much more. Whole bunch of options for you. And whether you are listening live tonight or later on in the week, when you get a little bit of free time, it is all greatly appreciated. We appreciate every listen, every view that we get here. Also, be sure to check out our website, iesportsradio.com. There you will find our merchandise, a whole bunch of new stuff up on there, with the assistance of one of our new sponsors, and of course, a bunch of different shirts, hats, gloves, all different kinds of things. So do be sure to check that out. You can also check out the blog, which you can find through the website, or you can find iesportsradioblog.wordpress.com. New piece out this week, talking about the quarterbacks in the upcoming NFL draft class and the teams that will probably be interested in them. So definitely jump over there to take a look at that. You can also find our show pages, this one for yours truly, but we've got the pages for all 30 plus shows we have here on the network. So do check that out as well. You can also find the Hall of Fame, the Fan of the Month page, the show schedule page, whole bunch of stuff there on the website. So do be sure to check that out. Once again, that is iesportsradio.com. And of course, we have our wonderful group of sponsors. And without further ado, let's take a look at some of those sponsors. Let's get a little bit of information about them.
IE Sports Radio fans, this show is brought to you by Planet Jerky Premium Brisket Beef Jerky. Planet Jerky is the official jerky of the 2022 California League champion Lake Elsinore Storm, Single A affiliate of the San Diego Padres. This all brisket jerky has gluten-free options, contains no MSG, no sodium nitrate, is low in sugar, and high in protein. Go to their website at planetjerky.net and follow them on Instagram at Planet Jerky. Planet Jerky, the jerky that's on a whole other planet.
Hey there, IE Sports Radio fans. Be sure to check out our sponsor, Seal the Deal Wax Seals by Cecilia B. You just finished your very own wedding or baby shower invitations and you're looking for that extra special touch? Maybe you just wrote a letter to a relative or a friend and you want to add to their smile when they receive it. Then seal the deal with Cecilia's handmade sealing wax stamps for your invitations, letters, and gifts. You bring the deal, we'll bring the seal. You can find them on Instagram at sealthedeal_wax stamps and on Facebook, Seal the Deal Wax Seals.
Rise and shine. It's 4 a.m. The stars are still out. The sun is beneath the horizon, but it's time to punch in and go to work. The comfort of your warm-ups turns into the grinding out of your reps as the clinking and the clinking of the plates create a symphony of euphoria. There's no other feeling like it. Earn it, burn it, and take what's yours. IE Sports Radio has proudly partnered with Vital Apparel, a brand that not only fits great, but also promotes and donates to mental health research. Use our code IESR to get 15% off their comfortable and inspiring gym wear and help them on their amazing journey to support mental health. Go hard, take part in your iron therapy, and be strong. Because when your mental health is as strong as you are, there's no telling how far you'll go.
And welcome back to Let's Whine About DMV Sports here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Shout out again to those sponsors, Planet Jerky, Premium Brisket Beef Jerky, jerky that's on a whole nother planet. They've got a whole bunch of different flavors for you guys, everything from the classic barbecue, kind of the simpler flavors, all the way up to volcanic jalapeno, ghost pepper, Carolina Reaper, the real hot stuff that'll really kick you in the teeth. So definitely check them out. Go on over to planetjerky.net to buy yours today. Really not that expensive, especially for jerky now. I mean, have you seen the price of jerky in the stores? My goodness, this stuff is better and comparable in price. I think so. But do check them out, planetjerky.net, to order yours today, and also check them out on Instagram at Planet Jerky. And then, of course, Seal the Deal Wax Seals, custom wax seals for your very nice occasion. Looking for the last little touch you need for your wedding invitations, party invitations, baby shower, whatever event. New Year's just passed, so unfortunately we missed that one, but obviously we've been, promoting these guys for a while. But that perfect example of an event where if you're sending out invitations or looking for that last little touch, a custom wax seal is a good go-to item. So do check them out on Instagram, and also you can order them from the IE Sports Radio website. So that's pretty good. And then IE Sports Radio has proudly partnered with Vital Apparel, a brand that not only fits great but also promotes and donates to mental health research. Use our code IESR to get 15% off of their comfortable and inspiring gym wear and help them on their amazing journey to support mental health research. Really great cause there with Vital Apparel, and go definitely check them out today. Really great stuff there, working on mental health research. Really big deal, not something to be taken lightly. Okay, so we've got a new month, and therefore we have a new theme for our alcoholic beverages. This month, I'm taking a page from last year's book. So, look, we just had Christmas, everybody, and I'm sure our wallets, our pocketbooks are a little bit thinner than they normally would. Quick shout out to Taryn Rodriguez jumping in the chat room. Good evening to you, sir. Asking me what I will be drinking. Now the Ravens have clinched the AFC North, like I discussed in the opener. We'll get to that in a little bit, sir, but good evening to you. But yes, wallets are a little bit thinner, a little bit lighter. Pocketbooks are a little bit thinner. Those bank accounts are looking a bit lower. January, a lot of us enter the budget mode. Okay, we need to scale it back a bit. We spent a little bit too much money over the holidays, whatever, your reason may be, presents, big party, vacation, whatever the reason may be. Now we're getting back to work. We need to start saving money. We need to find some value in our wines that are still pretty good. And I thought, there's a perfect one that I've actually demonstrated on this show before, and it's makes perfect sense for a lot of people because it's in a store that is everywhere. It is very affordable, and so far in limited experience, they actually make pretty good wines, and that is California Roots. Now, California Roots is a wine brand exclusively sold, unless I'm missing something, people out in California, please tell me no, but it is a brand that is exclusively sold in Target stores. So, that makes it readily available. It is usually in the $5 to $6 range, so that's a really good price for a bottle of wine. And California Roots, obviously, saying that it's comes from the great state of California. So shout out to all of our resident California people. This is their sangria. Now, what I will be doing over the month, I will be showcasing a variety of different California Roots options for you. And typically, the way I go about it is this: I usually find a standard red wine, a standard white wine, a sparkling or a rosé wine, and a sweet wine. That's kind of my usual standard. That covers a broad spectrum. Usually with value wines, the sparkling is not usually an option. So this month it'll be a rosé. So I'll have a red, a white, a rosé, and a sweet wine. We're getting the sweet wine out of the way now. Why? Because my wife wanted it, and she already opened it. As you can see, she poured herself a glass and already went ahead and poured me a glass. So I apologize, those of you that look forward to the pouring section of the show, but we'll have to skip this. And so, reminder, this is a sangria. So sweet wine, sweet red wine. What is a sangria? Sangria is literally just a wine that's like mixed with fruits. That's basically it. There's nothing tricky to it. It's usually got some sort of generic red wine or blend at its base, and then they add the fruit flavors in, let it ferment a little bit, and they imparts the flavors into it. This one actually has a little bit of description on it, so we're going to read that really quick. The best ingredients for a good life are simple: good food, good friends, and good wine. Crafted from premium grapes, our sangria's fresh berry and zesty citrus flavors are a delightful summertime fiesta in a glass. Best served chilled, over ice with a garnish of fresh fruit. As you can see, I did none of that except the chilled part. This is chilled. But there's no ice because I don't put ice in my wine. And garnish with fresh fruit actually would be really good here. Pairs perfectly with grilled seafood tacos and homemade guacamole. Oddly specific, probably would work. Interesting choice of food pick there. This one little bit of warning. Now, most sweet wines they tend to be a little bit lower alcohol content. This one's bucking the trend. It is 11% alcohol. So even though it's going to taste sweet, it's going to have zero tannin, zero acidity, because that's not what you get out of a sweet red, especially a sangria. It's probably only going to barely taste like an alcoholic beverage, I would anticipate. Despite all of that, I would sip this very slowly because it is a little bit higher alcohol content, so you are going to start to feel it a little bit faster, a little bit faster there than you normally would. But you can see here, very light red color to it, not really anything in terms of body, because again, it's a sweet wine. That's not what we're here for. We're not here for the traditional components of a red wine. We are here for sweetness, lightness, fruity flavors, and something that we can just kind of sip endlessly without having to worry about any bite. So let's give it a sip because that's what we're here for. Definitely those strong berry flavors. Wow, a little bit of zest at the end there. Yep. Yeah, that description hit it right on the end there. Zesty citrus and berry. That is 100% what we are getting here. Very nice kind of raspberry flavor to it. A little bit of cherry, a little bit of raspberry, and a little bit of that zesty citrus. This is very good. It's very tasty. It's very flavorful. And again, it doesn't have any of those things that people would normally associate with a red wine. It's not dry. It's not tannic. It's not acidic. It's not heavy. It's very light, easy drinking, sipping, perfect. And especially for a $5 to $6 bottle, that's another component that we're looking for. Drinkability. Really, that's the key. When you're looking at value wines, I'm not looking for anything that's going to knock my socks off, folks. I'm really not. What am I looking for? I am looking for a good value that tastes good and is made well enough to where it doesn't turn me off. Now, we did a previous value brand deal with Winking Owl out of Aldi grocery stores. And that one was a little bit more inconsistent. Some of them did not hold up to the good drinkability. But this one, at least round one, California Roots, their sangria, doing pretty well. Drinkable, flavorful, good value. It's nice. It's very nice. I would definitely recommend this, especially if you are a sweet wine drinker. That is going to be right up your alley. Before we take our first break, I wanted to say goodbye officially to the college football season for the DMV with our final two bowl game updates, and we're not going to spend too much time on these because they were kind of cruddy. Liberty lost to Buffalo 26-7 in the Bahamas Bowl. Zero offensive production whatsoever. Buffalo scored first and never looked back. They had control the entire game. And then Virginia Tech lost to Minnesota. This one stings a little bit more. But then I noticed that Virginia Tech did not have quarterback Keyshawn Drones or running back Byshul Tatum, who were their top two offensive producers. Tatum by a wide mile. That man, it was like him and then like 13 layers until the next guy. And without Drones having a backup quarterback in, this one was kind of doomed from the start. So that we end bowl game section for the DMV on kind of a sour note. The DMV does go 2-2, but this does officially wrap up our college football season, which I can say midway through the season, folks, you remember we had hope. We had 3, 4, and 3 teams. And that's not including of our big three, Virginia, Virginia Tech, and Maryland. 3, 4, and 3 teams, and only one of those teams ended up getting to the 6 wins we needed for bowl eligibility. Now, obviously, we got some help from some of the secondary DMV schools. Navy Midshipmen, who won their bowl game. James Madison won theirs. Liberty made it as well, but overall, you got to say this one ended on a sour note. So hopefully we can have a decent offseason, get some good recruiting going, maybe get some luck in the transfer portal. I know at least Virginia Tech is losing some good talent in Tatum and Drones. Maryland is going to be losing some talent, not only Ty Felton, the receiver, but also Roman Hemby and Billy Edwards, their starting running back and quarterback from this year, have both hit the transfer portal, so they will be moving on. And Virginia loses their top receiving option, Malachi Fields, as well. So a lot of changes coming to the DMV for their schools. And we'll see how everything translates next year. We're going to take a break from college football and we'll come back to it probably in about 7.5 months. Shout out to Ralph Calise, the host of the Yinzer Report, by the way, for jumping in. Good evening to you, sir. I'm sure you are sweating bullets right now as you watch your Steelers battle it out with the Bengals, although they've got their playoff spots pretty well sealed up. They're either going to be the 5 seed or the 6 seed. So maybe he's not sweating bullets over there. Maybe he's okay with whatever the result of tonight is going to be. So with that, we are going to take our first break. When we come back, we're going to dive into some football. Do not go away. You're listening to Let's One About DMV Sports here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
What's up, everybody? This is Darren Rodriguez. Are you a fan of volleyball? Are you a fan of Thunderous Spikes? Then I have the show for you, Set Point, where I cover NCAA men's and women's volleyball, high school boys and girls volleyball, beach volleyball, and even professional volleyball. Catch the action every week here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
What's up, Pittsburgh? This is Ralph Calise, the host of the Yinzer Report on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Are you that passionate, die-hard Steelers, Penguins, Pirates, or just a Pittsburgh sports fan? Then please join me on the Yinzer Report every Tuesday on IE Sports Radio, the direct feed for all that is sports. And I will update you on all that's black and gold, have you telling your Pittsburgh fans and friends what's up with Pittsburgh sports. Tune in Tuesday with me, Ralph Calise, the Yinzer Report on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Let's go!
And welcome back to Let's One About DMV Sports here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. That is my cat walking behind me, so say hello to her. Now we've talked about the college football ranks. We put college football to bed. College football is done. Like I said, see you in 8.5 months. Now let's get to the professional ranks, which thankfully for both of our teams, even after tomorrow, we still get to talk about the NFL for at least a few more weeks because let's start with the best news, I would say, because the Ravens had already clinched a playoff spot, so they were good. But the Commanders, coming into last Sunday, not everything officially clinched, still balancing on the beam. Are they going to have that late season collapse? The answer to that question is no, they are not. They defeated the Falcons 30-24 in overtime. Jaden Daniels with overtime heroics that not many rookies could pull off. That overtime drive was something special. How he basically did the if you guys remember, which Marvel movie was it? Was it the original Avengers movie where at the end of it, Thanos walks up to his Infinity Glove and goes, "Fine, I'll do it myself." That's basically what not Lamar Jackson. Golly, I'm going to make that mistake a bunch over the next few years, aren't I? I'm going to make that mistake a lot. Jaden Daniels did the, fine, I'll do it myself, marched the Commanders down the field, threw the game-winning touchdown pass to tight end Zach Ertz, who made a heck of a catch and had a heck of a game overall. But that moved the Commanders to 11-5. It officially clinched their playoff spot. It's also the first time, and this is actually kind of a sad statistic when you think about it, but the first time they have won 11 games in a season since 1991. 33 years. This team hasn't won 11 games in a season. They've won the division a couple of times. They've made the playoffs a couple of times. I think they even got to 10 wins a couple of times, but it's their first 11-win season since 1991. Now, we all remember what happened in 1991. Just saying. Just saying. Something good happened that year. But they officially lock it in, and more importantly, the Green Bay Packers lost last week, which actually put the Commanders in the 6th seed, which makes tomorrow's game against the Cowboys a little bit more important because, number one, you don't want to get swept by the Cowboys in any given year if you're a Commanders fan. They could be 1-16, but if that one was against the Cowboys, I think a lot of us would be content in DC. But it makes it more important because they can clinch the 6th seed. Now, for those of you who are unaware, the difference between the 6th seed and the 7th seed in the NFC is the difference between playing the 12-plus win Philadelphia Eagles, who are, by the way, probably really pissed off at the Commanders after their most recent victory over them, but a very good Eagles team, or one of the Los Angeles Rams, who are kind of hot right now, but also not winning games very impressively. I was not impressed with their win over the Cardinals last week, and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, who have been up and down. So that is a pretty monumental difference between the 6th seed and the 7th seed. But yes, importantly, the Commanders are hot right now. They've won 3 games in a row since their bye week. And they are showing the offense is not slowing down, which is always the big concern with Cliff Kingsbury run offenses, is those offenses in his history as an NFL coordinator or coach tend to die off in the second half. That has not been the case. The Commanders are averaging, admittedly, this is including an overtime game, but what are they averaging? 29 points, 29 points a game in the 3 games since the bye week. So this team is still performing great. I think Jaden Daniels pretty much locked up the Rookie of the Year race, both between his victory and the Broncos losing to the Bengals last week kind of hurt Bo Nix's case. Now, I think the Broncos might still be able to pull off the victory against the Chiefs tomorrow, especially I think the Chiefs are going to be resting most of their guys. Although I can't imagine they'd be resting too much because they do get the bye week, so I don't know how much they're going to rest. But especially if the Broncos flubbed their playoff spot, which they virtually had locked up a couple weeks ago, that's definitely going to hurt Bo Nix's case. But yes, fantastic victory for the team. A couple of guys a little banged up. They will be getting some rest this week. I saw Marshawn Lattimore, for example. He's not going to be playing, and we need him for the playoffs for sure. Even if we get any of those teams, all 3 of those teams have really good wide receivers. So we're going to need our guy Marshawn Lattimore. And there's a couple other guys who are banged up who are going to get the day off tomorrow for a little bit of extra rest in hope that they are ready for the playoffs. And then flipping over to our other team, the Ravens, they actually played this afternoon against the Browns, which is weird. The Ravens have been like slightly ahead of schedule, so like we've still been covering them, but now their regular season actually done. They defeated the Browns 35-10 in a game that was actually a lot closer than that for most of the game. They managed to pull away in the 4th quarter. Derrick Henry with 2 fourth-quarter rushing touchdowns to finish off his absolute whale of a season. But yes, 35-10 over the Browns puts them at 12-5 on the season. It does clinch the division title. It also means they don't get swept by the Browns, which would have been very disappointing, especially given how bad the Browns have been and how injured they've been to end the season. But yeah, some rough points in this game. Penalties weren't very good. The offense was really inconsistent, a lot of drop passes. Offensive line wasn't doing really great. And then, of course, injury to Zay Flowers, which early reports aren't that it's too bad, but it will definitely be monitored over the course of next week to see how bad it really is. Worst case scenario would be obviously he misses the whole playoffs, but it would be bad if he missed week 1 or the wild card round for the Ravens. But again, we'll just have to wait and see on that. But in any case, the Ravens clinched the division, back-to-back division titles for them. Fantastic performance. They also officially lock in as the 3rd seed in the AFC, with Kansas City is going to be the 1, Buffalo Bills are going to be the 2, Ravens 3, and Texans 4. The wild card seeding is still up in the air. 5 and 6 are going to be one of the Chargers and the Steelers, I believe. I don't think there's a scenario where the Steelers drop below 6. I'm pretty sure there isn't. But it's going to be one of those two playing the Ravens. Now, different people have weighed in on opinions of whether they would prefer the Chargers or the Steelers. I think they're both good teams. I think the Steelers have the better defense. I also think the Steelers are a little bit more banged up right now and a little bit more kind of hobbling into the playoffs. So you talk about momentum. Obviously, the Ravens have a great momentum because they've won 4 in a row. Um, Also, they split with the Steelers, so you don't have to worry about the whole, not being able to beat a team 3 times in a season situation. However, divisional rival in the playoffs, usually those are the last teams that you want to see, although they're all playoff teams. So there are arguments to be made for both. Justin Herbert scares me a lot more than Russell Wilson does, and I think the Chargers offense, even though it's a really kind of an odd mishmash of pieces, has a little bit more scoring potential. Like I said, the Steelers are banged up. A couple offensive linemen out. George Pickens has been banged up throughout the season. And then the defense, both defenses has star players that concern me a lot. So there are arguments to be made either or. The good news is that it'll be in Baltimore. Probably give us the advantage over the Chargers a little bit more because they'll have to travel cross country for the game, which obviously puts them at a significant disadvantage. Pittsburgh, obviously not super far away, Pittsburgh from Baltimore. So, and their fans travel well anyway, so they've got that advantage. Either way, I just want the Ravens to be prepared, play good, solid, mistake light football. It doesn't have to be perfect football, but asking for mistake-free football would be a little bit much. But we just need whoever they match up against. We need them. We need the Ravens to play good, solid football, and well, for Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry to be Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry. That will make up for if Zay Flowers misses the game or not. If those two are on, offensive line plays well, defense does its job, then hey, there's not much to worry about. But the main takeaway from this segment is that we have both DMV football teams in the playoffs for the first time, I believe, since 2012, because the one year that the Commanders have made it since then, which has only been once, that year that with the Taylor Heineke heroics, the Ravens actually didn't make it that year. So you do have to go back to 2012-2013 season, RG3's rookie year, which, I mean, we have a whole new number 2 pick scrambling quarterback. That's how long ago that was. RG3's rookie year, that's how far back you have to go to find the last time both of our teams made the playoffs. And by the way, interesting side note, we all know what happened in Baltimore that year. And interestingly enough, the Super Bowl's in New Orleans again. Just saying. Just saying. History's having a weird way of repeating itself sometimes. You never know. You never know. We're going to take another quick break. When we come back, we're going to cover the rest of our DMV guys, our hockey, our basketball, and a slight touch of baseball. I did say in the intro that the Nationals have been quiet. That is actually incorrect. They did make a signing as well, so we will go over that but we'll do that after this break. Do not go away. You're listening to Let's Whine About DMV Sports here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
Hey, Cleveland and Columbus sports fans.
Sports fans, do you like teams that are tough, cities that are tougher, and fan bases that are passionate about their teams? How about teams that are historic and stadiums that are iconic? Then you belong in Chicago, and you need to check out Chi-Town Weekly. Join me, Adam Kernan, every week as we keep up with all things Chicago sports. Bears, Bulls, Blackhawks, Cubs, White Sox. We'll cover them all, plus more. The Windy City is always buzzing, and we'll keep you up on all the big games and major stories. So tune in to Chi-Town Weekly every week right here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
For the last 10 years, IE Sports Radio has been bringing you amazing content ranging from interviewing legendary athletes, coaches, and other authorized media personnel to building tailor-made shows dedicated to all major sports cities around the country. Make sure to follow us at IE Sports Radio on X, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and YouTube to keep up with the latest in sports and with all of our shows. Also, make sure to check out our daily updated website at iesportsradio.com. At iesportsradio.com, you can see our daily show schedule and check out all of our show pages with personal bios to learn a little bit more about each of our awesome hosts. In addition to our show pages, you can catch the iSports Radio blog, Hall of Fame, Fans of the Month page, and our merchandise shop including t-shirts, tank tops, caps, long sleeves, hoodies, and more. For now over a decade here at IE Sports Radio, we've continued to be by the fans, for the fans, and we thank you all for your support and for making IE Sports Radio your direct feed for all that is sports.
And welcome back to Let's Whine About DMV Sports here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. We've got 15 minutes left in our show here, so let's talk hockey and basketball. Which way am I leaning on starting? Let's start with the Wizards, who do get to be called the Wizards this week because they won again. My gosh, it's like the third week in a row they've won a game. Just one game. They only do it once a week, so... But it's funny. because last week they were 1-2. So the first half of this banner here, I left it the same and just updated the record. So 1-2 on the week, 6-26 on the season. Still the second worst record in the league behind the New Orleans Pelicans, who, interestingly enough, they played one of those games and actually lost last night because CJ McCollum put up a 50 burger on them. So that's really encouraging to see. But yes, 1-2 on the week. They did beat the Bulls 125-107. My apologies to Adam Karnick, the host of our Chi-Town Weekly show, for that one. But yes, pretty big, by the way, to lose to New Orleans, because New Orleans was 5-29. The Commanders, or not the Commanders, good Lord, I always mix these teams up. The Wizards were 6-25. So that was like a solid 4-game gap that is now about a 3-game gap. Well, I guess it would be like 2.5 games, or however, I forget. I don't remember. The calculation's weird because they played so many. The difference in games is so much. But they also play the Pelicans again in the next couple of days. And if they lose that game, then they're 6-27. The Pelicans are 7-29. That's only a half game difference. And the Wizards keep in that race. It's pretty much a 5-team race to the bottom. Now, I'm sure after the trade deadline, because, the trade deadline, a lot of teams offload their talented players, especially if they're on 1-year deals, which, by the way, the Pelicans have a pretty good one in Brandon Ingram, who's a free agent next year. So as a 1-year loaner, they might be able to offload somebody pretty significant. But looking at the standings here, like I said, a couple of teams might fall closer after the trade deadline. But right now, basically, it's a race. You've got, obviously, the Wizards and the Pelicans, who are the two worst. Right above them, and literally right above them, you have Charlotte, who is only a half a game better than the Wizards. And then you have, actually, Charlotte and Toronto are both only a half game better, but Toronto has 2 more wins, so their win percentage is a little bit different. And then Utah is a game better. So you've got those 5 teams, Toronto, Charlotte, Washington, Utah, and New Orleans, kind of lumped down there. Then you've got the Portland Trailblazers, who are 3.5 games better than Utah, who is the 5th worst of that group. And then you've got the Brooklyn Nets, who I expect to be one of those teams to fall back a little bit. And then everybody else has win percentages in the 400s, and we're talking about teams with win percentages in the 200s. So, I think Brooklyn and Portland are the other two to keep an eye on, but I don't think anybody else is really going to drop that far to be included amongst this discussion. And yeah, the Wizards keep winning a game here and there. That's not terrible. Obviously, you do still want your team to win games. However, at the same time, as we've discussed on the show many times, there is a goal for the Wizards, and that is to get into this group of prospects, which we'll talk about a little bit more as we get closer to the draft. As you recall, when we start to wrap up some of these sports, because right now it's still a very hopping time in the sports world. Once we start to wrap up football, NBA will phase out as the season gets deeper and deeper. We'll probably talk about it a little bit less because they'll be well out of it at that point. We do begin to incorporate a draft show, a draft segment to the show where we start covering the different drafts. And that's usually going to be probably the beginning of April, because at that point, the NBA season is basically done. Obviously, the NFL will have long been done. Baseball will have started, but we'll really only have baseball, the tail end of hockey, and also a lot of the March Madness stuff has worked its way out at that point as well. And most of we'll probably be talking about it very lightly if any of the DMV schools are still in it, but March Madness will be done. NBA will basically be done. NFL, obviously. College football will be on break. WNBA will not have started yet. So you get this kind of lull in that early April, which is when we incorporate the draft segment of our show. So we'll talk about the prospects then, but I've identified a top 4, and it's really in pairs right now. The top 2 being Cooper Flagg and Dylan Harper, and the second 2 being Ace Bailey and Ego Durman out of BYU. I'd be happy with any of those 4. I'd be a little bit disappointed if the team fell to 5th or lower. And the problem is if they fall too low, somehow they actually lose their pick to the Knicks. So we definitely don't want that to happen. But in any case, Player of the Week, they do get a Player of the Week because there was a victory. This week's Player of the Week, Jordan Poole, who's been their most consistent performer, actually didn't play in the first game, the loss to the Knicks. Speaking of the Knicks, but he did play against the Bulls and then the Pelicans, averaging 28 points per game in those two games, including 30 in the victory over the Bulls. He was by far the team's best player in that game, so he gets Player of the Week. Additional shout out goes to Alex Sarr, number 2 overall pick, who won Eastern Conference Rookie of the Month. He is starting to develop a little bit. I would like to see the rebounds up a little bit for a 7-foot player, but he's not necessarily that kind of 7-foot player. He's much more of a stretch, all-around defensive type of player, which is defense is progressing well. He is scoring about 14 points a game, so that's pretty good. And he's clearly one of the top 5 rookies so far this year, and he's named Eastern Conference Rookie of the Month. So congratulations to him. We hope to see him, along with the rest of the rookies, kind of continue that development. Bub Carrington has kind of cooled off a little bit, and Keyshawn George was injured for several games, so he's still working his way back from there. So you like to see the development of the rookies over the course of the season. Moving on to hockey, the Caps had 4 games this week, kind of a busier week for them. They went 2-1-1 with a shootout loss to the Minnesota Wild. That puts them at 26-10-3 on the season for 55 total points, which is a phenomenal total to have through 39 games. And it also has them back on top of the division and the conference, and actually by a good margin. The New Jersey Devils are the next team at 51 points, and then there's a couple of teams in the other division that are at 50 points. So the Caps have actually, over the past week, which was a solid week, it wasn't like an overly amazing week, but it was still solid, had built up quite a little bit of a gap between them and the next closest teams in the Eastern Conference. So that's great to see. Let's keep that pattern going. Heck, if we go 2-1-1 every week the rest of the week, I mean, the rest of the season, that's a pretty darn good rhythm to be in. So let's definitely keep that going. Player of the week, I think you guys can guess this one. If you know anything about me and hockey and Wizards hockey or Capitals hockey over the past week, you kind of know who this is going to be. You knew it was going to be Alex Ovechkin coming back from injury. His first game was against the Maple Leafs last Saturday, which we got to cover, but 4 goals in 5 games since returning from his injury. It's like he never left, and it's like he's 25 again. I mean, it's ridiculous. The guy is just scoring as will. Other players probably put up more points this week, but I mean, come on, y'all. This had to be the guy for Player of the Week. And of course, fantastically, since he is back, we get to bring back the Ovechkin record watch as he continues his pursuit of Alex Ovechkin's all-time goal record of 894 career goals. Ovechkin now has 872 with those 4 goals in 5 games since coming back from injury, which now puts him 22 to tie, 23 to break the record, with the goal he scored today in what was a whale of a game against the Rangers. The final score was 7-4 Caps. 7 different goal scorers, by the way, in that one as well. Not Logan Thompson's best performance, but hey, a win is a win nonetheless. But I believe he moved into a tie for 12th all-time in points, and we can actually check that really quick. Career NHL points. Let's see. Yes, he officially moved in. Actually, he officially passed Ray Bourque for 12th all time. He is 10 behind Phil Esposito, who he should pass this season, barring any other additional injuries. And of course, obviously, as he continues to chase the all-time goal record. Unfortunately, the person right ahead of Esposito is Sidney Crosby, who is still playing, so I don't think he'll pass Crosby. He is 61 behind Joe Sakic, who would be 10th by the time he reached him because Crosby would pass him. Now, Ovechkin will likely be playing next year, so it is entirely possible that it might not be this year because getting 62 to pass, 62 points in how many games are left? We just 39, so 43 games would be a bit of a stretch. But if he comes back next year, he has a shot at being 10th all time in points, and he would very clearly, obviously, have broken the goal record. By the way, in terms of active players, the next closest guy behind Crosby and Ovechkin is actually Evgeny Malkin, who is a few hundred points behind both of them and definitely not going to play long enough to pass. Same with Patrick Kane and Anze Kopitar as well. Those are the only other active players who are in the top 50 within 400 points of Crosby and Ovechkin. Oh, and by the way, they're all roughly the same age as the duo, so I would be very surprised if they managed to pass. I think it's pretty safe that Crosby and Ovechkin, once they finish their careers and get into the top 10, Crosby is in the top 10. And then Ovechkin very likely to get into the top 10. I think they're going to sit there for quite a while before the next players can catch them. Maybe it's somebody like Leon Draisaitl or Connor McDavid out of Edmonton. Those two guys might have the best shot there. And now a little bit of baseball news, but first a great comment from Larry B. Wonder if Mike knows how to even feel with two winning football teams in the DMV. I don't. It's a foreign feeling. We haven't had it in quite some time. So no, you're right. It's a very strange to actually have expectations for both of your teams at the same time. I'm used to only having expectations for one or zero, so it is strange to have both. But a couple of quick news from baseball. The Orioles signed free agent pitcher Charlie Morton to a one-year deal this past week. Now, Morton has spent the last 4 years on the Braves, pitching pretty consistently. ERA in the mid-3s to low 4s, 30-plus games a season, averaging about 5.5 innings a start. So pretty good numbers there, but he is 41. I would not like it if this was the last move that the team made to upgrade the roster before the season. I think that would be considered a failure of an offseason if all they did was to add to the pitching staff 35 years old Tomoyuki Sugano and a 41-year-old Charlie Morton, as well as adding Tyler O'Neill and Gary Sanchez on the offensive side. I think that would be considered a failure, but he's got tons of playoff experience. He's consistent. I like him as the fourth pitcher. The problem is that he gives us like 8 4/5 pitchers and really only a couple of top 3 guys. So I don't mind the signing, but there's got to be one more deal in the maker there. You cannot let this be your last deal. And then the Nationals re-signed Trevor Williams. This is the type of pitching move that I expected the Nats to make if they were to make a move to the pitching staff. That and the addition of Michael Soroka, two guys who can start. Soroka can also play the pen. Williams would probably be open to a pen spot at some point in the season, depending on how everything is going. But a veteran pitcher coming off a very good season, but an injury-shortened season. But familiarity with the franchise, knows all of the guys he's going to be in the pitching rotation with. I think this re-signing makes a lot of sense. It doesn't necessarily move the needle a ton, but I think it does give them a reasonable additional pitcher to have in the rotation in the starting rotation. That will do it for tonight's show. Thank you all for tuning in. Thank you to everybody who viewed live. Thank you to Taryn Rodriguez, Ralph Felice, and Larry B for jumping in the chat room. Once again, if you have not done so already, folks, please follow us on all social media, on X, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and YouTube at IE Sports Radio. Do follow yours truly on X, Instagram, and TikTok at _ISR. You can follow us on all of these. You can listen to us live on all of these platforms, whether you're listening live or listening to us later on in the week. Do check out the website where you can find the merchandise, the show pages, the blog, and so much more. Once again, shout out to our sponsors, Planet Jerky Premium Brisket Beef Jerky. Jerky that's on a whole other planet. Also, Seal the Deal Wax Seals, custom wax stamps, great as feast to your parties. And of course, Vital Apparel, brand that not only fits great, but also promotes and donates to mental health research. Use code IESR to get 15% off of their comfortable and inspiring gym wear today. And of course, last but certainly not least, I must remind everybody of the show's main message, which is please drink responsibly. Do not drink and drive. One of my favorite social media posts regarding this topic is that you can afford an Uber or a taxi before you can afford a DUI. So please drink responsibly. Do not drink and drive. It is simply not worth it. I will not be going anywhere after this, and if you've been drinking, neither should you. So if you're at home, please stay put. Or if you're out about enjoying the NFL playoff games, some college basketball, pro basketball, whatever big sporting events are going on, or at a party with friends, whatever it may be, just please do not drink and drive. It is simply not worth it. Once again, thank you all for tuning in. This has been Mike Patt from Let's Run About DMV Sports on the IE Sports Radio. Your direct feed for all that is sports. Have a great week. See you next time.